People usually take black magic as a threat, or I guess it's pretty much more of a threat. Just like how Torn was treated when everyone knew about the dark magic in him. People saw the dark magic in Torn when he was 10 years old. In that time it showed itself for the very first time. He couldn't control it, for he was still a child. Everyone in his community stayed away from him, even his friends, and his family decided to leave him with his grandma, since his grandma didn't care what he was born to be. She loved him as he was her grandson. When he was 12, his grandma took him to see a master, but the master had no way to help him get rid of the darkness in him, but could only give him a bracelet that would prevent him from transforming. Though he wouldn't transform to anything, he'd still feel pain. His voice and eyes would still change, and he'd still get ghostly power and have server headache. Torn learned to live with it, pretend to care less, and always lie about how well he is, but actually isolated himself to the world and kept his pain to himself. That made him get used to lying and suffer in silence, since on every red moon, his darkness becomes stronger that he wouldn't be able to control it until the red moon disappears, even though his darkness never appeared in one form. Sometimes he'll appear as a deadly ghost, sometimes as a scary vampire, sometimes as a giant snake, and when it's at its strongest he'll appear as a giant scary wolf with red eyes. Every time he transforms, his voice changes to a ghostly deep voice. With the bracelet the master gave him, he never got to transform again. Every time when the red moon is about to approach, in order to protect his grandma and make her worry less about him, Torn would go to a very far place under a bridge near the sea, where there a dark hidden room that no one's ever noticed. He'd lock himself there until red moon passes. Torn graduated and became a police officer, and he was placed in the best police officers team named Guy, who possess white magic. His powers allow him to tell the difference between the truth and lies. He grew up with his grandma, who also possessed white magic. She helped a lot of people in the village. She had golden power, keen ears and eyes, power to control everything, and strength. But she couldn't control her fate. When her time arrived, she told G that one can never defy fate, and she passed away. After her funeral, he lived alone and got devoted to his work. He never smiles and only has a single friend named Tin. And the only reason they are friends is because Tin can never tell lies. Torn's first day at work was the day after the red moon. He got up late because his darkness drains too much energy from his. Hence he got late at work when Guy asked him. He lied and said there was a traffic. That made Guy get irritated by him, even at work. Torn's habit of lying never disappeared. He lied almost every time, and that made him get into words fight with Guy very often, and that made Guy's team no longer be active as it was before, which made everyone think they hated each other, but in fact, Guy was just curious, how can a person lie so much? But because he's hot-tempered, he'd end up scolding him. And as for Torn, he only found Guy pretty much interesting, since no one has ever paid much attention to him before, and also thought, how can a person be so cute while scolding someone? So he enjoyed getting into fights with him. 6 months passed with no red moon. Torn got to work as usual and started teasing Guy. Just in the middle of their argument, he got a notice that the red moon will appear the following day, and suddenly got stressed and distracted. He started isolating himself again, which made Guy wonder what happened. The following day, Torn didn't argue with Guy and even left work early. Guy got curious and went to look for him. He saw him entering the hidden dark room and followed him. He broke in and called for Torn, and Torn suddenly appeared and strangled him. Guy tried to break off, but he couldn't. He then held his wrist. Torn began to slowly calm down and gained his senses. They sat there in silence for a while, and then Guy asked Torn what was happening. Torn told him everything. Guy was surprised, not because he has dark magic, but because he told the truth for the very first time, and that he has never saw Torn this depressed, so he offered him a hug and told him about his story. Torn told Guy that he doesn't know why, but a strange thing happened when he held his wrist. He told him that he felt warm and his head became clear and suddenly fell asleep. So Guy was left with no choice but to take him to his condo. The following day in the morning, Torn woke up, looked around and saw Guy making breakfast while listening to music and dancing. He smiled and went to the bathroom to wash his face. He came out and they had breakfast. While they were eating, Guy asked Torn if he ever tried to use his powers in a good way, like solving difficult cases. Torn told him that H didn't dare since he can't control them, and also feared that people will see him as a monster, as they did when he was 10. Then, Guy offered to take him to see his master and told him that he might have a way to help him. So, Torn agreed. They went to see the master and found out that the master his grandma took him to see was a disciple of G's master. The master told them that Torn has powers of the Demon Lord, of which is why he appeared in different forms, and that these powers were too much for his body, so he couldn't control them. He told him that he has to learn to control them. Torn was confused, and so he asked how he could ever control them. The master smiled and said, when destiny binds, a path appears. When the master said that, Torn looked at Guy and seemed to understand what the master said. They went back and Torn asked Guy to help him control his powers, and Guy agreed. He held Torn's wrist, and Torn took out his bracelet. At first he struggled, and started holding G's hand tight and hugged him. Then he calmed down. So he realized that only with G he can control his powers. Since then Torn and Guy became very close, and Torn used his powers of ghost teleporting, wolves, smelling senses and mind controlling to break those cases, while G used truth reading. They became the best in the police industry. After breaking their big case, their colleagues threw a celebration party for them. They played truth or dare, and Torn was dared to kiss Guy, and he did. It made both of them realize that they actually like each other. The following day, Guy tried to hide from Torn. Torn pulled Guy to an empty room and pinned him to the wall. He asked why he was running away from him. G went silent and they kissed again. They got disturbed and rushed back to work. Later that day, a new police officer named Pry was recruited to G's team, and he seemed very interested in Guy, that he tried by all means to get close to him. He even knew about G's and Torn's powers, so he never lied in front of Guy, and so he got along very well with Guy. For that, Torn became jealous time to time, that sometimes he'd end up fighting with Guy. He didn't like that feeling, so he decided to confess to Guy. He went to Guy, and only to find out that Pry already confessed his feelings to Guy. Without even waiting for Guy to reply, he went back. On the following day, when Torn arrived at work, everyone started pointing at him and whispering. Confused, Torn rushed to the office to find out what was going on, and only to find his boss waiting for him. Torn got fired and he went to the hidden dark room. When Guy arrived at work, Torn was already gone. After hearing about what happened, G went to look for Torn. He searched everywhere, and at last he found him. When G arrived, Torn's powers were beyond control. G hugged him tight until he calmed down, and Torn began to cry and asked G what he was supposed to do. Guy comforted him and told him that he still got him, he's not going anywhere. After a while, Torn stopped crying and told G that he actually wanted to tell him that he liked him, but Pry was there first, so he didn't. Guy told Torn that he rejected Pry because he already had someone he liked. Torn asked if that person was him, and G agreed. Then Torn asked G to be his boyfriend, and G agreed. They kissed, and Guy grabbed Torn's hand and said, "There's something we should fix first." They went back to the office and went to their boss. Guy begged his boss to keep Torn and tried to reason with him, and even showed him the numbers of the cases they broke together, and told him that it was because of Torn's powers. After hearing that, the boss told them to handle all the other workers. If they managed to convince them to accept Torn, 10 Torn could stay. They went to talk to them, and Guy tried to convince them. He even told them to think about the time when they were working together, and that Torn never harmed anyone. Everyone started accepting Torn for who he is. After a few days of happiness, Pry came to apologize to Torn for revealing his secrets. Guy got angry and wanted to hit Pry, but Torn stopped him and told Pry that it doesn't matter. It's all in the past. Guy told Pry that he didn't want to see him again. After a few days, Guy's grandma's death anniversary came, and Guy took Torn to see her. After that, they went to Torn's house, and Guy met Torn's grandma, and they became a happy family. The end.